What if I told you Bennett isn't from Mondstadt and might not even be called Bennett at all? In this video, we'll break down everything we know about the mysterious upcoming region Mare Jivari and how Bennett's secret origin might be revealed in patch 5.8. The Mare Jivari is usually described as the Sea of Ashes, Sea of Burning Fire, a literal hell on Earth. It's first mentioned in Venti's story quest as a silent place where the wind doesn't blow. Later, Zitlali describes it as a desolate land in the far west of Natlan, which sometimes can be engulfed by towering flames. But apparently only sometimes? To me, this seems very inconsistent, almost like the climate is constantly changing or is unstable. Zitlali also tells us that many adventurers perished in the attempt to travel the land, which brings us to the Lavawalker artifact set. It describes the legend of a sage who crafted artifacts to withstand the scorching flames and freely travel the land of Mare Jivari until he someday just vanished. We learn that people worshipped, and I quote, a singing bird, which is probably a phoenix, but keep that in mind for later, this will be important for Bennett. One thing that stands out to me is the description of time in the hourglass artifact. Like this burning sand, time flows forward, leaving no trace of its own existence. Though the Lavawalker did not fear the scorching flames of the Mare Jivari, he could not quench the torturing flames of time. According to Zitlali, about 20 to 30 years ago, people began talking about a huge monster in the Mare Jivari. This is the bug Nava, and I think is a different monster from the Lavawalker Phoenix. You can even hear its screams at the island of the Overseer Automaton. And now, the whole Mare Jivari just vanished. This fits with the Lavawalker description. Alone he came, and alone he went, leaving no trace behind. Like this burning sand, time flows forward, leaving no trace of its own existence. I think it's a strong hint that time doesn't flow correctly on Mare Jivari. We know that Venti is strongly connected to Istaroth, god of time. Originally, they were worshipped together in Mondstadt. We can still hear a lot of phrases in Mondstadt like the winds of time, the winds of history. Istaroth was called the Thousand Winds of Time, there's the Thousand Winds Temple, and also the nameless island of Mondstadt. Even the sacrificial sword states, on the cliff facing the eastern sea, the ancestors worship the masters of time and Animo together. The two are intimately related, as expressed in the saying, Animo brings stories while time nurtures them. I could go a lot more into detail because there is mountains of evidence why Venti is suspicious and connected to time, but you get the idea. Now, if we think back to what Stanley said, that there's no wind in Mare Jivari, does that mean that there's no passage of time? I'm only speculating here, but if we imagine Mare Jivari is in a portal and can maybe enter a different dimension where Istaroth has no power, then it would explain why there's no time and you can't see it when you're looking at it from the normal realm of Teyvat. Now, how does all this relate to our favorite 4-star Bennett? The first major hint about his origin is in his character story. The scorching flames scalded his skin, the deafening thunder almost ruptured his eardrums, and the hollering winds threatened to rip his soul from him. At the end of his hellish journey, what awaited him was a baby. The old adventurer thought he was the first living thing to pass through this arduous ordeal. But how could he explain that which lay before him? This baby must be a child abandoned by the world itself. Even if what he was about to do opposed the will of the world itself, he was unafraid. This sounds too much like Mare Jivari than to be just a coincidence. There are two possibilities. 1. The Lavawalker found him, because he was the one who allegedly traveled through the Mare Jivari the most and he spent so much time there. The only problem is, he had to be thousands of years old at this point. Option number 2 is that it was just a random adventurer from Mondstadt, which could open the possibility that Bennett is the reincarnation of the legendary Lavawalker himself. Natlan is described as nation of rebirth, and the phoenix is also the symbol for resurrection. The Lavawalker vanishes in the flames, being reborn as baby Bennett. It would even explain why Bennett is so unlucky, because he left Natlan without blessings from the Way-Ups. He's literally cursed until he returns to his homeland. This also means that he has to get a new Natlanese name. He got the name Bennett from Mondstadt's Adventurers Guild. It just doesn't sit right with me why anyone would make the effort to put a baby in such a hostile and hard to reach environment just to abandon it. But I could be wrong. Maybe Bennett was meant as a sacrifice or something. The description from the Lavawalker and Stanley differ quite a lot. It seems like in the past it was a noisy sea of lava, whereas when Stanley arrived, the land already turned to an ashen wasteland where nothing grows. The inconsistent climate fits with Sitlali's timeline of occasional fire eruptions. The land seems to have changed due to the big battle or the appearance of the Bakanava. The only question left now is how did he get to Mondstadt? From the description it's hinted that the old adventurer was from Mondstadt himself and just took him home. But honestly, I find this kind of strange because we haven't heard of any recent Mondstadt expeditions to Mare Jivari, and people surely would be talking about it because it's so dangerous. We're talking about the Nordcroix expedition, for example, all the time. We know of the famous Wanderers troop who went to Mare Jivari, but they died 1,000 years ago. So, in conclusion, I expect patch 5.8 to give us the following lore. Time is distorted in Mare Jivari, maybe we even get some Venti lore. A man is allowed to dream. Also, Bennett gets involved in the story because he was born in Mare Jivari. Bennett subsequently should get a new name. Maybe if he even enters Natlan, he could get the Wyop's blessing and therefore lose his misfortune. Let me know if you agree or totally disagree. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time, guys. Bye.